Hey guys, it's Brandon. Soft field takeoff landings. Why do we need to use it? Where would we use it? We're going to cover all that real quick on the board. Then we're going to go watch out and Peter execute that in the aircraft. See it from on the runway side perspective, so you kind of visualize that. Hopefully everything starts kind of clicking in your mind, kind of see what that looks like and whatnot. So first off, why and where would we ever use soft field takeoff and landing situations? Okay, so first off, soft field. Maybe we're taking off from a grass strip and it's really wet and sloppy and muddy. What happens is if I'm taking off with the yoke forward or just a neutral position, and the aircraft nose is constantly wanting to try to dig into that mud or that soft sod or grass, and when that happens, the aircraft wants to try to flip upside down. Okay, so there's that. Whenever we take off with the yoke back in that situation, that gets that nose up out of the mud, and that keeps that from happening. Okay. Also, maybe it's a rough runway. Maybe it's not wet, it's just really rough. Just remember, the nose gear of the aircraft is the most critical part of the whole landing gear system. It's not near as strong as the main gears. It's just bolted onto the firewall. When you start getting a bunch of bumps and stuff like that, it's constantly wanting to buckle that firewall and damage that. Okay. And then also we want to protect our prop. We want to keep, maybe you got loose gravel, mud, whatever the situation is, big bumps. You don't want that prop to hit any of that stuff. So when we pull the yoke back, that elevates the nose and keeps all the obstacles kind of clear of the prop, whatnot. So there's that. Also, this is a good maneuver to kind of teach high density altitude situations. If you're taking off and you just accelerate and you just start trying to climb out and the performance just isn't there, the aircraft's going to stall. So this teaches you to kind of keep it low to the ground, use ground effect and accelerate, and then once you get to your VY, then just start your normal climb out rate. Okay. So how do we execute this maneuver? Like I said, the previous short field takeoff and landing videos, you have to know what your aircraft POH or flight manual specifies for the configuration. Okay. So the Bonanza, I know it's 20 degrees of flaps. In our Cessna 172, they're saying 10 degrees of flaps. So why is that? Well, first off, when we use flaps, that increases lift. That gets the weight up off that rough or wet surface. Okay. And also that shortens our ground roll. So in the 172, the book says we can get off the ground 8% sooner, and that's good. If it's wet and sloppy, I want to get off that pavement, off that grass, off that rough stuff, and get airborne, protect my landing gear. Okay. So 10 degrees flaps, yoke back, no brakes. When you go out on the runway and you start pushing on the brakes, that just kind of causes that nose to kind of dip down, puts that pressure on the nose landing gear into that mud, into that rough stuff. So yoke back, no brakes. I say that all the time when I'm training my students, either on takeoff or landings. Okay. So we have the aircraft configured, 10 degrees of flaps. We're going to go out on the runway with that yoke all the way back, keep a little bit of power and keep that momentum going. If you stop and it's wet, it might take full power in order to break the wheels loose from that wet kind of sticking grass or mud and then get it to kind of start rolling. Okay, so yoke back, no brakes, 10 degrees of flaps, and you're going to go and you're going to accelerate full power on the center line of the runway. Once you start accelerating, that nose, you're going to feel that nose come up. You're going to see this in the video. It's going to come up off the pavement. Now, you don't have to just go all the way back and just get real aggressive with it. I just kind of feel it. And once you do this enough, you'll kind of know, okay, yoke's back. Okay, that's enough. And the nose is clear of the pavement. Everything's good. I'm just going to hold that and allow the airplane just to fly off for me. If I'm going real aggressive, then right when the aircraft breaks the ground, it's really into a stall situation right there. So, but if you just be a little bit more patient with it, not go all the way back, just keep that landing gear clear of the mud, then you're going to be able to break the ground just a little bit quicker. And once it breaks ground, you're going to be just a little bit faster, and the airplane will really want to accelerate out a little bit quicker for you. Okay, so there's that. We're airborne. Now what? We're really close to a stall right there. We're pretty much in a stall, so we don't want to just continue up and out of ground effect and stall the aircraft. We want to use ground effect for our advantage. So what you want to do is you want to transition into level flight, just 2 to 3 feet above the surface, allow that airplane to accelerate. And once I get to about 75, 80 miles an hour, the aircraft's plenty fast. We're not in a stall situation anymore. And then I'll slightly pitch up into a VY, 85 miles an hour climb out configuration. Once I'm doing that, then I immediately lower my flaps, and it's just a normal climb out after that. So 10 degrees flaps, yoke back, break the ground, hold it ground effect. Once you get to 75, 80 miles an hour, just start a normal climb, retract your flaps, climb out like normal. Like I said, this is for not only rough or wet, takeoffs, but it's also really good to use for high density altitude situations. You're airborne, use ground effect to accelerate that airplane, and then store normal climb out. So let's go outside. We'll watch Peter kind of execute this maneuver. We'll come back in, and we're going to talk about soft field landings.